Your opponent can be in portofino stretta or codalunga stretta. You'll get into codalunga stretta, that is with your dominant foot in front at the appropriate gioco stretto measure. He says here to throw a tondo. This will be a dritto tondo from this side, a falso tondo that comes across this way, a falso tondo. Now, he says something here, and it's not the only time he's ever said it, but it's an interesting point, bears mentioning. When you make a falso tondo, there's a grip change to your hand. If I wanted to hit something, somebody, with a falso tondo, I'd want this position. There's a slight grip change here. What can happen is if you don't do it well, if he parries my falso tondo, it could knock it out of my hand. Okay, not desirable. So Anonimo says, throw this falso tondo with your sword well gripped. Hold it tighter. He's acknowledging the fact that a falso tondo has the potential of getting your sword knocked out of your hand. Grip it tight and don't let that happen. Now, he says to throw this to the sword or to the face. There's no step here. Can I reach his face? No. So, if in a case if he's in codalunga stretta, I might throw this, as he says, to the sword. It's a nice tap to the false edge of the sword. If he's in portofino stretta, perhaps I maybe wouldn't want to meet his true edge that way, as I talked about. That's not a great thing. Send it over the sword toward the face. He may try to react to that, but this is just a setup motion. As soon as I've done that, I make a show of a mandrito toward the head, passing my left foot to my left, foot turned sideways. So that. I start like this. When I make this falso tondo, there's a change. There'll be a change in the shoulders. So do turn your shoulders there. See how I take up my back foot. I don't do this without moving my body. It's a little strange looking. So turn the shoulders, bring the foot up, make that falso tondo. Again, to the face, over the sword, or to the sword. Don't expect to actually do anything with that. That instantly goes here. And that's a reaction that the person is going to make. It looks like, right, I'm trying to hit the head. If I disconcerted him here, like I'm trying to actually strike that head. Now, when he goes to defend himself, as Anonimo says, when he raises to defend himself against that mandrito, change and strike the arm with a reverso or the leg or the hand. He doesn't say head here. Measure's not quite right. Hand, arm, or leg. Note the position of posture there. There's this turn, raise this. It's obviously to the head. Don't make this in such a way where if I did this and brought it here, that's not really sending the message, hey, defend your head. So send that message like you're shouting it. Throw this and say, hey, defend your head. Now watch the change here. I step here, but then I turn the body to strike the arm or the leg with that reverso. And he says, though, to codalunga stretta, not through. Don't go to codalunga lunga here, because if I did that, if he pulled himself back and came at me, I need to defend in guardia di testa. And from here, something a little unusual. He's probably expecting from here, as we always do, a cut to the head. But no, a rising mandrito to the arm and finish yourself in portofino alta. There's the play. Falso tondo, perhaps to the sword, perhaps to the face, but so that I can show and prepare this. I don't want to just go here to throw something. It's a little dangerous. I give him a moment of pause with this well-gripped falso tondo up here with a step, change to here, hit that arm. If that didn't work, or he's wearing a big puffy sleeve, and it didn't hurt him that much, right? People do wear, this is a cloth armor that people wore. So do this, raise this high, go here, change to here. And if this didn't work, block it in guardia di testa. Don't immediately uncover yourself. Block it in guardia di testa. Step your right foot to your right with your left foot going behind that, turning the body with a rising mandrito. Hit that. And get into guard. You're right here. So the falso tondo I make is not to produce any meaningful effect. It's just a distraction to buy me a moment of time. You should practice this idea where your opponent, needs to be able to defend themselves there. This needs to appear to be something quite dangerous. A fluid, continuous motion that goes around and up and in with a step, and they have to put that sword up, and it's got to be in that way. Now, Anonimo says, as your enemy raises their sword to defend themselves, wound the leg with a reverso. So, he says this also, this mandrito is not a real one. He says, make a show of a mandrito. Let it be seen, make a show, so we get a response. But I don't want to deliver it. I don't want it to land. I don't want it to touch anything. I want to wound the leg as they raise. So the tempo there is in your favor. Obviously, when we're training, if your training partner knows it's coming, they can perhaps be able to avoid that. Not knowing it's coming makes it quite difficult to get out of the way of that. Falso, mandrito, avoid that hit the arm. Again, real hard to get out of the way of that thing. If he does manage to get away or it didn't wound him that badly, don't go past here. Don't step here, block it. Guardia di testa. Now, continuing to shield myself, it looks like a head cut, like it so often does. Take your back foot sideways. Don't advance here. I'm not trying to hit his head. I step sideways, and this leg goes behind. I'm getting out from under this. Take this behind, hitting that arm. Look how far away I am.
As a good patient, knowing that looks like that head cut, and also often it is, when you're in the guardia di testa.
Yeah, go for the hit.
Yep. I want to parry that there. This rising cut is an anomaly. It is kind of funky.
It is.
Meta.
So if someone is used to what we typically do after guardia di testa, he's going to want to defend his head because, you know, that's the case. Now, lots of times we'll step forward into that, and that makes it a lot different, doesn't it? Stepping forward in guardia di testa, as we so often do, that makes a different situation harder to get out of the way of. But in this case, there's not a step. There's a firm-footed parry, change to here. This will all be done very quickly, but sideways, rising up here. He doesn't say to take this over the arm or anything else. He says strike rising mandrito, get into porta alta.